Alright guys, welcome to my channel. I do primarily Canadian and African content, and since Canada are playing friendlies, which we'll probably cover to some degree this week, I wanted to highlight some World Cup qualifiers, specifically in Africa, which are fascinating to me because we're getting down to the wire here. I had a survey about second place teams, but I just wanted to quickly run through and talk about, hey, these are some of the matchups that might be very much fun to look at coming into this World Cup window. So again, just to recap for you, Africa is sending 9 teams to the 2026 World Cup, and then they're sending 1 team to the Intercontinental Playoff. So in order to qualify, you have to win your group. Most of the teams are in groups of 6. And so far, they've played 6 games so far. There's a max of 10 games. So right now, you are at match day 7 and match day 8 for all the groups. And we have some first place teams. We also have some second place teams who are fighting to get back into it. And in some cases, some third place teams fighting to stay alive. And I just wanted to mention some of those for matchups which could be fascinating to keep an eye out for, because I think they will hold very much a lot of who makes this World Cup represents the continent of Africa for the 2026 World Cup. I know for CONCACAF, they're getting ready as well. A lot of people have done that, so make sure you guys hop on, find those content creators. I might do something quick on that as well. But let's go through this really quickly. So a quick rundown for those of you who aren't as familiar, and for those of you who are in the weeds of this, into the thick of it. Listen, I understand. Listen, I happen to be fortunate to be where we're sitting. My people will get to that when we get through. So Group A, you have Egypt on top of that group. They have gone 5 wins, no losses. And then you have Burkina Faso, who are in second place with 11 points. 3 points per win, 1 for a draw, nothing for a loss. You are caught up in terms of points. In Group A, assuming that they are going to beat their other opponents, I think the second matchup, the match day 8, gets very fascinating, because match day 8 in Group A, you have Burkina Faso playing Egypt, and that's a fascinating matchup. That game is supposed to happen. That game is scheduled for September 9th. Now, because there's 5 points separating them, this could be Burkina Faso's one opportunity to try to sneak back in, or it could be just Egypt securing their spot for the final. So that's a big matchup in terms of Group A and that group. Other Group A matchups which could, because Burkina Faso is playing well, you want to keep an eye out for what they're able to do. Egypt in the first matchup are playing Ethiopia, so a tough game, but certainly winnable for Egypt. And then Burkina Faso have as their opponents for their first matchup Djibouti, which I expect them to also, tough game, but get the result. So that September 9th matchup, I think that's the game to look at for Group A. I think if you look at that group, if they're able to make it through, it does open the door moving forward for that. Group B. Now, Group B is interesting because your leaders are the Democratic Republic of Congo with 13, though they have 1 loss, and then Senegal are tied with Sudan. Both teams, Senegal and Sudan, have gone 3 wins and 3 draws, while DR Congo have gone 4 wins, 1 draw, and a loss. Now, what makes that group interesting is because there's 3 groups, 3 teams, because there are 3 teams who are alive, the matchups in Group B become very interesting in terms of who you're looking for. Now, in Group B, matchups we have, Congo is playing South Sudan on the first matchup, which will be an interesting matchup, no doubt about that. And Sudan plays Senegal on the 5th. That's a very big matchup. 3 points, that's separation, but that not only that is keeping them running with DR Congo, who you expect to beat South Sudan, but that's Sudan versus Senegal matchup. I think that's going to be a very big one. You could possibly see Sudan drop. On paper, you think Senegal have the better, they said definitely have the better roster overall. But Sudan have done everything that Senegal have done. For them, it's, can you continue to run? You saw them at Chan have a nice deep run all the way to the semifinals, so you know they're continuing to build. Qualification is doing a very good job, but Senegal on paper have the talent, so that's going to be a great matchup. That's happening on the 5th as well. So those 2 matchups are actually happening. So on Friday the 5th, it's 3 p.m. Eastern here. Depending on where you are, there'll be different times. But the DR Congo Sudan matchup is going to be actually much earlier in the day, about about 7 hours earlier. So either Sudan or Senegal will know what they're playing for come that matchup. So that's going to be a fun one to keep an eye on. Group C, we're going to include all the way down to the 4th place team because it's a very big name. So South Africa are up in this group, 13 points. Rwanda with 8 points. Benin with 8 points. Nigeria with 7th. We have to talk Lesotho, still alive technically. And then Zimbabwe. Because the 2nd place groups are so close, a win gets you in a chance to fight for a 2nd place slot, which is where you want to be. And so for that case, those matchups are going to be very interesting looking at where they have. I know Nigeria plays 2 of those matchups that they need as they go through, so it'll be very interesting. But in Group C, Nigeria plays Rwanda on Saturday the 6th, and that's a big game for them because that is jumping in. Basically, Nigeria have to run the table to have a legitimate chance. Could they maybe get a draw here? Yes, but you don't want to take a chance with draws. Run the table is what they need to do. South Africa, earlier, the next day before, South Africa will play Lesotho on Friday. And that's going to be, if South Africa gets this, I know there's still if you want to call it a cloud over the player, whether there may be point deductions, we'll wait and see. But as it stands, we're going with as it reads. So South Africa plays Lesotho on Friday. Nigeria plays Rwanda on Saturday upcoming. And then Benin, who are somehow forgotten in this conversation, plays Zimbabwe on Friday as well. So those Friday matchups for Group B for Group C are very fascinating in terms of what can happen. Again, that's where they have, so Nigeria playing Rwanda, Benin playing, and then South Africa playing. Now, when you get to match day 8, those ones get very fun because Nigeria then will face, Rwanda will play Zimbabwe on Tuesday, September the 9th, which would be Benin playing Lesotho. Could rack up some points for them. That could be fun and interesting for them. And then South Africa on September the 9th as well. So September the 9th, Tuesday next week, that'll be a very fun and fascinating matchup. Those are matchups to keep an eye on. Group D, it's Cape Verde with 13 points, Cameroon with 12 points, Libya with 8. Libya with a new team, and we can mention Angola if we must, but Cape Verde, they are an interesting team. For match day 7, their matchup is Mauritius. And you expect them to be able to get a win, but Mauritius have a little bit feisty so far. A win and 2 draws. They haven't been just a classic pushover. They have made teams on it. So Cape Verde can't walk into that thinking, hey, we are good. This is a simple walk to go through. But their 2nd place team, Cameroon, they are hot on their heels, and they play Eswatini, and I think that's where you think, on paper, they should get it done. When you get to match day 8, that's where it becomes very interesting. I think a lot of the match day 8s are the interesting matchups in all the groups. DR Congo plays Cameroon on that Tuesday. That Tuesday, September the 9th, is turning into, now it's the same time as the South Africa Nigeria matchup, but Tuesday, September the 9th is turning into the matchup day, right? This is as close to what we would usually look and call like a Champions League day, but it's all to qualify for the World Cup. So that is something I think will be fun to keep an eye on in terms of what happens with Group D. Again, you want to top your group here. I'll keep on saying this. Topping your group gets you in. 2nd place, you have to be one of the top 4 2nd place teams. And if you're able to do that, then you go into a playoff. And if you win that playoff, then you go to the Intercontinental Playoff as it stands. So that's Group D. Match day 8, Cameroon versus Cape Verde. That's going to be a fascinating matchup. We might have to have just the multi-stream going on there. So we'll see what's going on there. Group E, Morocco's in first with Tanzania in 2nd. Morocco have gone 5 up, 5 down. Right now, as it stands for Group E, Morocco play Niger, who are actually tied for 3rd in their group. They've gone 2 wins and 2 losses, Niger have. Morocco have just run through everyone. I do expect them to do so, though Niger will make them work for it. In terms of other teams finding Tanzania in the 2nd place slot, I think the problem with Tanzania is going to be because they've lost Eritrea, that 2nd place group for them, they basically are at the bottom because they can't make up the points as well. And that's unfortunate. I wonder what CAF will do for that. But Tanzania plays, again, the Congo matchup so far has been canceled based off of what the schedule shows. So there's just a lot that group goes. Effectively, it's Morocco running through it. I know Tanzania plays Niger on the 9th, and then Morocco plays Zambia on the 8th. That'll be a fun matchup with Zambia trying to fight to get back into things. But as it stands, it's Morocco's group to lose. Group F. Côte d'Ivoire, Gabon with 16 and 15 points respectively. The only difference is Côte d'Ivoire have a draw, while Gabon only have a loss. That's all that separates them. And for their matchups, that's for Group F. They become very fun and fascinating as well. Gabon plays Seychelles on the 3rd, so this coming Wednesday, which again on paper you expect Gabon to get it done. Côte d'Ivoire themselves, they have a matchup set with, they have Burundi on September the 5th, which is where the fascinating matchup will be. But as we've been saying, match day 8th, the second matchup, that's where we're getting all the juicy matchups coming through. All the fun matchups are coming through. Gabon versus Ivory Coast on that Tuesday, September the 9th. Again, like we've been telling you, that's the day where all the good matchups that are going to really showcase who's going to be able to go. That's going to be the separation day as it sits. Burundi has a chance, but need to also run the table to have a chance to run through. Group G. Algeria have gone 5 wins, 1 loss, while Mozambique have gone 4 wins and 2 losses. And then Botswana have gone 3 wins, 3 losses, as have Uganda. There are barely draws. Only Guinea and Somalia have drawn in this group. But Algeria and Mozambique, those are your top 2. And as we've said before, it's really going to come down to where we have Mozambique versus Uganda, who have really surprised and really have shown well. Though they're a little bit lower on the table, they will make it hard. While Algeria have Botswana on September the 4th. Those are some good key matches. But once we get to match day 8, Mozambique versus Botswana, that's a Monday on the 8th of September. And Algeria have Guinea, who can run and spry an upset. They do have the talent to do so. But right now, those 2 matchups, I think for Mozambique, staying where it is. I think once they get to their match day 9s and 10s, that's where it'll get very fun for them. Group H, Tunisia, Namibia with 16 and 12 points, and Liberia with 10 as they sit. Their match day 7 matchups get very interesting, as Tunisia has Liberia on Thursday, September the 4th. It'll be a good matchup to keep an eye on. Now, Namibia will be playing Malawi, who are showing well. Though they've lost 4, they only have a -2 goal difference. They have been stingy in net. Tunisia haven't conceded a goal yet, but then also in 6 games have scored 9 goals. So they're getting the jobs done, but very pragmatic in how they're getting it done. So those matchups will be interesting. Tunisia versus Liberia on September the 4th. And then Namibia versus Malawi on the 5th. Now we get their match day 8. Tunisia versus Equatorial Guinea, who, as a side, Equatorial Guinea, though they are where they are, they were undone by rules, and right now I think they'll still be a tough out as they play a side. I think that'll be something for them to keep an eye on for Tunisia. When it comes to Namibia on their match day 8, they have Sao Tome and Principe, so you're hoping that this could be a game where Namibia can maybe get some goals on and keep pace. Only 4 goals back so far. Not an impossible run, but only 4 points back, sorry. Not an impossible run, but they need a slip up from Tunisia. And if you're in Namibia, you're hoping Equatorial Guinea can cause that slip up, and then maybe they can close the gap a little bit more. Group Ghana with 15. I'm going to pretend like I wasn't pumping my fist. Comoros with 12, Madagascar with 10, Mali with 9, and then Central African Republic with 5. Chad are just there, losses there. Matchups for this side are interesting. We know Ghana has Chad when it comes to their match day 7. Madagascar plays Central African Republic on the 4th. And then Mali has Comoros. That's a very interesting matchup on September the 4th, because that's either Mali getting back in the game or Comoros keeping pace with Ghana. If you're a Ghanaian, you're hoping Comoros could come through and maybe slip up versus Mali. You're hoping for Mali to do that. Match day 8, you have Ghana versus Mali, Comoros versus Central African Republic. A solid matchup, a solid chance for them to push through. Madagascar plays Chad, so nothing too crazy. And as we said earlier, Ghana facing Mali, a team who they have to come back. Ghana did have to come back and defeat, so that won't be an easy walk, though it's in Ghana. That's a game where Ghana has to just continue to set the pace. Comoros have to come back and keep pace with them. Those are your groups, and as it stands again, guys, just to run it down, your top second place finishers right now are Gabon, Cameroon, Senegal, and Namibia. Comoros is tied with them, as are Mozambique, but those 5 countries, Cameroon to Senegal, Namibia, Comoros, and Mozambique are all tied with points, but it's goal difference that's the difference. Cameroon have an 8, Senegal 7, 6 for Namibia, and then Comoros with 2, Mozambique with -1. And then Burkina Faso just under with a +6 goal differential, but only 11 points. Rwanda are in second, but only have a 0 goal differential and only have 8 points. Tanzania have 9 points, but 1. So for those second place teams, it's not only trying to keep pace with your first place finishers, but also trying to run and get as high up in the second place as you can to move through. Guys, which matchups are you excited for? For me, I think those first three groups have matchups for days. Match day 8, I think, is going to be the day where we're just sitting down and taking it on some good African football right off the heels of a nice Chan Championships. I'm looking forward to it. Who are you guys rooting for? You let me know in the comments. And as always, I'm going to stop talking right here.